have a fourth of an acre. You know. Yeah, so,
Yeah, you're technical.
but I have a garage, stick-built garage. And you know that appreciates every year, even though my house goes down.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, it's fun. I love Chuck.
I'm trying.
Pardon?
Hey, Florence, how are you?
Listen, I don't think Gwen's coming,
Uh-oh. Tag, you're it.
Hi, I'm Claude Baker.
so
Hi, Claude. Chuck Merritt. Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
nice to meet you.
I hope you're ready. This
Chuck
is,
Merritt.
Annie, we've met. You could see me again.
Thank you. We have met somewhere, I just don't remember where it was at.
Probably when I was sitting out there before my background check came through.
At the last meeting, right.
you did a background check on you?
Yes.
How are you?
It was implemented that
That's-
all new
Oh,
appointees
pretty good, I think.
for any position have a background check.
Oh, I know.
Okay,
and
well, let me know and-
I was like,
yeah, I think it's okay.
we can elect people in, but
Oh, so she's on the
It
road,
sounds so
man.
important.
yeah.
Background check, like they're gonna
It's like
find you.
I got a ticket.
No problem, let me know.
It was a long time ago.
So if it's
That
at 6
doesn't
o'clock,
count.
we just
I know.
need to move forward then.
I have never had a ticket.
Wow.
Never had a citation.
Awesome.
Yeah. It really is.
I guess I better.
Chuck, Gwen had a doctor's appointment in Kings at 3 o'clock.
She may be
There's no
running
way she
behind
could
then.
make it home
I,
in time to.
I've been semi-retired for about 25 years.
Alright.
I tipped on engineering license to the material engineer.
What states?
Seriously. I've been here a long time.
I've got one in Kansas and one in Arizona.
Pardon?
I have one in Kansas and one in Arizona.
Okay. What in?
Structural.
Structural?
Yeah.
I like my name plaque.
Structural. and
Yeah,
civil.
it's very nice.
Yeah, when I moved into, when I moved to Arizona, there were, I think, 3 structural engineers in Yavapai County.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. They just went, we used to do a work up here. The last project I did up here was the streets, new streets in Prescott. We'd like to work up here, and I never got along with the engineering department in Prescott.
They can vote even though they weren't.
They didn't really impress me as being very strict. I like their building.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's,
However, it's all subjective, isn't it?
yeah, it's,
What's happening?
Chuck is
I worked in Leavenworth, Kansas.
conducting the meeting.
I worked for the federal government.
Mhm.
And
What part of town? do you
Leavenworth,
live in?
Kansas is the type
I
of
don't know
town
which
that
one
if,
it is.
Sort of high.
if the federal government and the state government left,
On the corner of Bottle
I think the
Brush and
state
Kansas.
prison was in Lansing, like just on the other side of the road.
Road 2, north,
And then they had the federal
1 block
prison
over is
Okay.
Bottle
at
Brush.
Leavenworth, and then they had
I'm
Fort
closer to
Leavenworth.
center.
And then they had Fort
Oh,
Leavenworth Detention Barracks, and then
Center
there was
Street?
the VA Medical Center.
I didn't know it extended that.
So if the federal
You
government
know, I hardly
decided to
ever
allow
get out
Leavenworth
there. I
Yeah,
hardly ever
just
get that
disappeared.
way
Yeah.
since there's
Yeah.
all that construction, you know.
You could still go
One
to the
reason
river
I
and
go there is to
look
go
across
to
it, you
Waterville
can see where
at
the
the
wagon
station.
tracks came down.
And
so
I have to go
more out part of the
through
hill,
all of
crossing
the
over. Yeah.
detours
That's needed.
to get there. So
Some of the curbs
I almost feel like mailing.
in Leavenworth were like that.
Well, it's real nice with the center street
It was like,
station now.
they
It's
built
real
it, it
nice.
was obvious that
Yeah.
My oldest goes to
either
high school,
they,
so
it
it's
had
just
been made to
right
design
there
or
for
Oh,
us.
it
yeah.
hadn't designed for
That's
runoff,
great.
so it was like, okay,
Well,
get the curb high enough so it stays away from the
Mrs.
building.
Ginsburg,
I don't know.
Slower.
I didn't think she
And now you have it that,
I don't know.
that a lot of the design firms
I
design
haven't
it
seen
so that
anything
the
in the
water
paper,
gets
so
captured in the
probably
road, and they don't want to do
Let
catch
her-
basins,
she
storm
must
drain,
be
or anything.
close.
They just want to,
Sit
And,
there.
well, no, they use the
Maybe
road
the
as,
sons
they
are
say,
taking
well,
over.
you're allowed 4 inches, and therefore, they design it where the runoff is staying within the road. And if it's a bad storm,
Or you
you
design
just,
it with some sort of set runoff period.
yeah, but it's, you know, they're sitting there saying, why should we capture it and run it underground, and so,
You weren't here for the June second
Sometimes.
meeting.
No, and they just keep canceling the meetings. I'm like, am I ever gonna do?
Yeah, well, sort of depends on how
I
fast
think
it melts.
the interviews
yeah,
were
well, it was like a couple of years ago,
it's been a while.
Oh, yeah, June
4 or 5
second.
years ago, they had this,
But I interviewed for this.
about
It's
4 years
almost
ago,
been
they had that storm that hit
Yeah.
at Anthony,
Well, the two vacancies
destroyed 3 houses.
around Christmas.
They were sitting there. I was working for the county at the time. The very first thing the county manager says, okay, who made the mistake? What went wrong? And I'm sitting there, don't get any facts, just
Make
find,
up your mind.
find someone to blame.
Yeah,
And so, I told him, I said, well,
yeah,
I said,
the thing was, it was so sudden.
it's designed for a 100-year storm.
And
Do you ever think
it's
of
all hush
checking to see what the storm was?
He was telling me,
They call it a flood. We haven't analyzed it fully yet, but it looks like it's about a 500-year event. But everyone was saying, well,
we've been getting by.
the drainage way should have been cleared with all this shrub and everything. And, everyone had a reason as to why it didn't work. And I told
You
my
can
wife, I
hardly
said,
take the time
if
off.
they told them to design it for a 500-year event, the developer would scream bloody murder for the cost. People buying the thing would scream bloody murder for the price.
Yep. You
I
would
said,
go
and
right.
I said, if the HOA had said, we're hiring 5 people full-time to do nothing more than go through the drainage dishes and clear out all the shrub and, muck out all the sand after the storms, they'd scream bloody murder for that too, because that's a $250,000 project.
Actually, our meetings.
So it must be somebody else's fault, we don't have to fix it.
2015,
Well,
Mostly been,
the
we've
people that got
done
their
some
houses
hearing, but
destroyed,
most of
they
it is
were obviously
reviewing.
upset.
Video
It was a
and
500-year
determining
event, it was an act of God.
Stressing the importance of open meeting.
The
I
fact that
sort of wondered where you cut that off.
See,
I've always said
somebody
it
got
goes over the
bad
code
trouble
requirement.
by
It's an act of
ignoring
God.
it.
Yeah.
And the insurance companies ought to
But you
treat it
know,
that way. They don't always.
they don't make everybody
It's like
aware
the
of
Comaneros.
what they are. They're so
That
stringent.
bridge was fine.
Really, they're harsh.
Nothing wrong with it, but wind blew.
There's a
Well,
reason.
but it met the design criteria. At that time, they
It was fine.
didn't look at the
I was
aerodynamics.
I graduated from University of Washington.
Did you?
Yeah,
They
and
obviously- they-
that bridge, of course, was one of the things you studied.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
And the striking similarities between that bridge and the Golden State Bridge,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically the same bridge. It was just expanded a little bit, powered a little more,
Yeah.
cables are a little tighter. The same bridge.
Winston.
But, and the Comaneros, you have that winds because of the plugs that blew up. And it changed the uplift. And of course, nobody ever bothered to check the
Maybe
frequency.
it's too
That was the big problem.
Yeah, I'll be right. I don't think I'm gonna need it though.
Hard to-
Engineers all the time.
Yeah, they do.
I remember seeing it.
Hopefully this will
You know,
just
you're watching
fly
it, all of a
right
sudden
through
this
long, I
guy
don't get
is
stumbling
walking
about it.
Yeah.
down the bridge,
10 at the most.
opens the car door, grabs the dog, turns
I
around, and
drove.
walks like this.
What's, oh, you did? Oh, because
And apparently he was
Gwen
one of
wasn't
the
able to
engineers
drive
that
it.
designed it.
If you need a ride for something like
There
that,
it
call me,
goes.
I'll come pick
Yeah,
you
he,
up.
Well, I didn't
he
think
wasn't
we'd be
bothered
here.
at all.
You know, it's gonna be
But you know,
daylight
they've done
when
so
we
much
get through,
work.
so I'll be okay.
All right,
If we're not through by 6:45, though, I'm gonna recuse myself.
that's all right.
But you can't, I mean, of course, it was just more than they could. You couldn't
Yes.
get a hold of anything.
Okay.
you decide to do that.
I got 6 o'clock.
I'm ready.
It is.
Let's call the meeting for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting September 15th, 2015 to order. Gary, would you please lead us in Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we have a roll call, please?
Annie Lane,
Present.
Florence Sloan,
Here?
Claude Baker,
Here?
Gary Pasiak,
here.
and Chuck Merritt.
Here.
And Gwen Rowich is absent.
All right, thank you. I'd like to have the commission review the minutes from the last meeting and would entertain a motion to approve them.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 2nd regular meeting.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, staff reports.
Good evening, Commissioners. If you look around, you'll notice we have 2 new faces here this evening, and we will have another one joining us shortly. Annie Lane and Claude Baker have both been appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission by Town Council. And Michael Bacon could not be here this evening, but he will be stepping in to fill Corey Mendoza's shoes. So Annie and Claude, if you'd like to take a minute to introduce yourselves.
My name's Claude Baker. I'm been a resident of Chino Valley for about 4 years now. I've lived in Yavapai County since 1984. I've had some P&Z experience when we were living in Phoenix. Served on several of the mayor's special committees. I am familiar with planning and zoning and how it works in general. I'm a licensed civil and structural engineer and still do a little bit of engineering. Other than that, I'm a volunteer here.
Nice to meet you. My name is Annie Lane. I have a family of 4 here in Chino Valley. Also familiar with planning and zoning procedures. Just here to volunteer because I care about my family and my community. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd also like to take a chance, or this opportunity here, to introduce James Gardner. As some of you may know, Elise went back to Phoenix. It's a little too cold up here. And actually, she had a nice offer to work for the city of Phoenix. And she did wear her coat in June, so she decided that it was better to be in Phoenix. We are very fortunate, however, to have found James. James Gardner comes to us with a wealth of experience. He's worked for Yavapai County, he's worked at the city of Sedona, and then he has some experience with wireless and telecommunications as well. So I'm going to give James a chance to introduce himself, and he will be presenting this evening.
Hi there. As Ruth stated, my name is James Gardner. I will be the new planner. I'm working on rezonings, conditional use permits, and also working with the housing rehabilitation program. You'll see my face a lot up here, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, item 7 is the public hearing and a request to rezone parcel 306-04-009J located at 206 West Road 4 North in Chino, consisting approximately of 0.5 acres from commercial light zoning to single-family residential.
Okay. Are you doing it? Here, I can grab it. From beginning right there. Yep. Okay. All right. Good evening, members of the commission. I am here to present case number ZC 1504, and the proposed rezoning is for a property located at 206 Road 4 North, parcel number 306-04009J. This is the zoning map of the area. The highlighted parcel is highlighted with a red border around it. It's difficult to see because it's also a red background, but it's just right here. I'll highlight it with my mouse. The current zoning on this parcel is CL, that's commercial light. The applicant is proposing a new zoning of SR 0.16, which is single-family residential. That's a 7,000 square foot minimum lot size. The subject parcel is currently actually used as a residence and is being marketed as a residence, but due to its current zoning, it's difficult to obtain funding on this lot for a residential loan. In the past, it has been used as a sales office for a retail irrigation supply business. That is still the current owner, and prior to that, it was used as a dance studio. The property owner, as I stated, would like to list the property as a residential property and would be able to secure funding, or the buyer would be able to secure funding for a residence if that was allowed. This is the vicinity map. This is the Road 4 North and SR 89 intersection. And this is the site plan showing the current buildings on the property. The building layout would not change. Everything would remain the same except the zoning. The general plan has this area listed as a community core. This one up here on Road 4 North and 89 is the core in question, but that will be listed as a mixed-use hub, including both residential and commercial uses. So the residential use is in conformance generally with the general plan, and the Road 4 North mixed-use hub is actually slated in 10 years, beyond the 10-year horizon of the current general plan. So staff recommends that the commission forward a recommendation of approval to town council for the proposed zone change, given its conformity with the general plan and the fact that it would basically leave the amount of commercial land in town the same, given that its use is currently residential. The applicant has made themselves available for any questions you have, and I'm also available for any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the owner like to step up and have a say?
Hi, good evening. I would just hope that you would...
Could you state your name for the record,
Oh,
please?
sure. My name is Bruce Day, representing the gang management, who is actually the property owner. I'd just like to say that I would hope that you would pass the zoning that's been recommended.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Day? No, you're good, thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for staff?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
Is the only reason for the rezoning to ease the financing?
Yes, currently, I believe it's been listed for almost 3 years as a residence, but nobody can secure funding to buy the residence.
Okay. Can't
And
Can't the same thing be accomplished by giving them a conditional use permit?
it's difficult to secure funding through a bank with a conditional use permit, given that it's a conditional approval. That a lot of banks don't want to lend on something that is under a conditional approval in case, for any reason, the town removes that approval.
I hate to see, that's going to be an isolated residential use on what in the future is going to be a very busy road when the roundabout is finished. And it seems to me that if the potential for commercial would be better than residential for it.
That may be possible. The slated time frame for that becoming a commercial core is beyond 10 years, which is a fairly long-term goal. I would also state that in the future it may be possible for that to be rezoned to commercial if that becomes an appropriate zoning for that area.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are not the properties to the west of that all residential properties?
Yes, correct. To your question, Mr. Baker, the infrastructure for that end of town, the closest sewer and water is at 2 North. So we are quite a ways away for commercial development up in that area. I understand what you're saying about rezoning it for this purpose. Unfortunately, the property owner can't sell it as commercial land because it has a residential use, and the banks won't finance it because of the residential use for a commercial purpose. And the residential banks will not finance it because it has commercial zoning. So Mr. Day is stuck between a rock and a hard place. He's next to residential zoning, and he's got there's no alternative. The conditional use permit, we've already redone 2 that have been threatened with losing financing because they are under a conditional use permit. So it's the days we live in.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there anybody we'll open the public portion here. Is there anybody in the public forum that would like to speak for or against the zoning request? Seeing nobody here from the public? Oh, come forward, ma'am.
My name is Christine Taunt, and we are the proposed buyers. And I researched fully funding it any way I could. And the only way I could fund it is if I had a business that had been in a successful business for 2 years and continued to have one. I taught school for 37 years. I'm done. And then the only other option was to get a person to lease the building for at least 2 years. A business that has been established for 2 years to lease it. And it wasn't doable. I went at it every way possible, and the only thing that made sense is to rezone it.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to come forward and speak? Yes, sir.
Excuse me for being so slow, but I'm an old man.
No problem. Would you state your name, please?
Yes, my name is Richard Taunt. I'm the husband to Christine there. And me and Christine, we presently own a place down in Bouse. There's 5 acres down there, but it's just, I'd go 118 in the summer times and stuff like that. And I'm 72 years old, and I have a lot of problems in that there, so we wanted to move into a milder climate too. And this place just looks perfect for what we want, you know, and I doubt that we'll be causing any problem for anybody there. There's a restaurant next to it, and the rest of the places are all residential area that I could see out there. And they happen to be working on that particular corner right at the moment, but I don't, nobody said anything about that turning into anything. So and nobody will buy it at all. Say Mr. Gaither has had it for 3 years on open market, and banks won't finance it anyway, except if you get a commercial loan on it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak, please? All right, we'll close the public portion of the meeting. Any discussion amongst the commission? I would entertain a motion.
I'll recommend that public hearing be held and forward the application to the town council with recommendation of approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carried unanimously. All right. Moving forward, we're at the non-public hearing action items.
There are no non-public hearing action items.
All right, thank you. Any discussion items? Any public comments on anything that is not on the agenda? The public speaks again. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting closed.